Just answering questions with waptek. I'm going to try to do this much more quickly. Someone posted a comment saying, assuming that there's no other methods for fraud, in this case talking about the voting system. I've done videos on various conspiracy theories that have been brought up, and the way I do this is I do the easy kill of a conspiracy theory. If it is based on someone refusing to provide evidence, so we can ignore it, or someone making an assertion that is simply not reality-based, I simply point that out. And in the case of fraud accusations about our voting system, there's a bunch of different ones being presented, and I cover one at a time in most videos. Some of the videos I gloss over a bunch of them, and I get accused of not being specific enough, and when I'm specific enough, I get told, like you, that I'm only covering one. So it's a good point. I could do a video on all of the assertions made, but they keep changing them. And again, they won't provide evidence. Someone's afraid to provide evidence means they don't have it. If every legal vote was validated and counted, you think it would still be a close race? And I say yes, because they did that. Most voting systems are based on getting all the ballots, looking for the ones that are easily checked, and then immediately checking, are these valid ballots? Don't even get them on the table unless they're valid, can be tested, checked, they're legal, they have all the I's dotted and T's crossed and that sort of thing. If any of them have any irregularities, to put over to the side because they're going to take too long to process. Get all of them through as fast as possible to get as many of them out of the way as possible. And one of the first things they check is, was it postmarked on the day right before they stopped taking postmarkable ballots? Was it dumped in the box before the time or at the time when the final bell hit? Were they physically put together correct? Basically, you take all of them that are really easily confirmed as being good. Do them first. Now, some of the legislatures decided to make it go in a different order, I think is cockamamie, but for the most part, that's exactly how all the ballots were done. Because the vast majority of people will vote one of 4 or 5 ways and may have some aberrations to it. And again, as for like the person asking about fraud, the most common large number of ballots that are found not to be allowed to be counted are because of errors, not because they look like somebody committed fraud. And I've had people tell me that a person filling out a vote that's 100% for Biden with no anomalies is suspicious. Meanwhile, when they take in votes to evaluate them, they run them past 2 people to make sure there's no bias. And when they recount them, another person has to recount that pile so that they don't have people with biases getting involved. If they have a bias, it's just going to counteract itself. The most common thing that happens when it's close enough to require a recount, because there could be errors, is they simply find out it's the same outcome, but they had an error of maybe, out of 1 million ballots, there's 800. No, there's usually about 50 where somebody did a bad job. They're very good at this because the whole point of the way you construct the ballots and the way you do the system is to make it really hard to make a mistake in the first place. So yeah, I think it'll be the same way. And yes, the ballots were checked to make sure they were legal first and validatable before they were counted. That's the normal procedure. This assertion that people didn't do that for various reasons is getting a little annoying. I know you're not saying it necessarily, but this is what keeps coming over. And the other assertion is that literally everybody in a primarily Republican-run state where all of the local elections went Republican, that somehow the people in charge of counting the votes affected the vote by having a bunch of Republican votes go Democrat. But at the same time, the Trump administration screaming, the ballots are fake, which doesn't make any sense. But someone will rationalize it in the comment section right after I'm done saying it. On a video, a completely different subject, I also have another video about the secret evidence lawsuit versus Maricopa County having statist Republicans that voted against him because they don't give a shit if he's elected. Trump's all-encompassing secrecy thing that he didn't want any evidence presented because he didn't want people to evaluate it and see how stupid it is. I had a very long comment that was posted into that, along with these other short ones. The long one will be last because the person wants it to take up too much time and take up an entire video. In fact, the person seems to have cut and pasted some parts to make sure of that, so we're skipping him first. Let's get to the other comment about David Windmiller, quantum parse syntax grammar, or some other variation of that. Gets repackaged packaged and rebranded every few months because people find out it's a scam. The crux of a video I had up was that David Windmiller and people like him who can't win an argument in court, or apparently in person, want to make new definitions for words so the argument always goes in their favor because they're the ones deciding what words mean. This is not an oversimplification of things. They're not someone who's discovered some secret way of interpreting the words that's real or truthful. They're just making up shit as they go along, and they change it when it suits them, and me pointing that out makes people angry. I got someone who went off on a tangent in the comment section. I responded to him in an entire video. And I also posted this comment in the description, also touched on in the video, but I'm going to reiterate. You advocate for a person supposedly who is a grammar expert, who's demanding we change our language by using their definitions. Somehow, however, you misspelled intellect, arguments, members, understood, and hypocrisy, and that word twice, while asserting that I was being a hypocrite for various reasons that involved you misquoting me while using bad grammar and claiming that I should take you and your grammar Nazis seriously. And I made fun of you. Now, you might think it's a cheap shot, but it isn't. You're demanding that we treat you and people like you as being the arbiter of proper definitions for words and proper grammar, specifically. When you demonstrate an incompetence in both, I'm going to point that out. And maybe you did this on purpose. And during the response, either in the video, which you didn't post this next comment under, or maybe in that one, you seem to have gotten a come at me bro sort of attitude here. So let's read your comment for the day. If you'd rather solve differences of opinion in violence, I'm okay with that so long as you stand for yourself with honor, not someone else to do battle for you. Later on, he decides that I have to have a fight with God because he doesn't want to fight me. Anytime you're ready. If you'd rather solve them with language and nonviolence, I did. I pointed out you don't know how to do any of this, and now you're resorting to demands that we have a fist fight. Your ad hominem attacks are useless, immature, and pathetic. Next. Waptek, one of Satan's minions, hard at work. Your soul will pay. Your soul is mine. Mortal Kombat. I suggest you start praying. Praying? It's praying. Praying for some forgiveness soon. You're demanding I beg you for forgiveness. Or you're telling me your Sky Daddy wants me to apologize because you're offended because I pointed out you literally misspelled words and have a lack of grammar skills. Where were we? Oh, yeah. One can easily tell by your overly zealous attempts to discredit David Windmiller, me pointing out what he's actually demanding and sugarcoating it, isn't overzealous or an attempt to discredit. It is a discredit. I did discredit him. You guys are making it about something that it isn't. It's a guy who wants to win an argument in court, and he can't, so he's inventing a new language out of our own and demanding we put up with it. Anyway, you're only bolstering conviction, and then you left an incomplete, dangling participle-ish sentence here that, you know, makes me want to make fun of your shorts. We now know who you work for. Well, please tell me so I can get the paycheck. Anyway, justice will come. So you demand that I come at you, bro, but not send someone else. Apparently this is a reference to something. I'm not sure. But then you invoke that you basically want God to damn me to hell because you're picking a fight with somebody over the internet. I'm assuming you're keyboard catting right now, and that's supposed to cause me to keel over dead. Anyway, a video I have, Trump's secret evidence lawsuit, where, like everybody else covered up with this bullshit, they won't provide evidence, because if they provide evidence, you can argue with them, but if they refuse to provide you the evidence, because they don't have any, you can't really debunk what they're saying because they haven't provided proof. This is a tactic people have been using ever since Obama became president, actually before that. Because if you can't win an argument based on facts, just fucking stop trying to present them, I guess. So anyway, someone's decided to post this. I actually was gonna attempt to debate you on several key facts, but then I realized it would be pointless at this point. You're just another sheep to the mainstream media. And I want to point out that if you cut and paste the same shit to everybody, we notice this. The assertion that's made about a person who argues with you breaks down to many methods. Point out that I said 1 + 1 = 5 and show that that's not true. That's a basic real argument. 2, you can point out that I might have bias because I'm a liberal. That's acceptable. But it doesn't change whether or not fact exists. Donald Trump does not have the ability to predict the pathway of a hurricane. Yes, someone is going to post a video where he did, but he did not predict what the hurricane was going to do because he didn't. That's it. It's not a discussion. He failed. Someone will definitely point out a video that seems to show him doing it. But reality is he didn't, because I don't have to watch the video edited by falsifying what the guy said. But on this point you're making about mainstream media, basically calling someone a sheeple, a mainstream media person. I was vilified by CNN by having my video, a video of mine, shown in a montage of people accusing them of something that I'm the polar opposite of. CNN makes mistakes all the time. During this election, for the umpteenth time this has happened, an election is close, and every single news agency trying to look like they're experts didn't just say, we don't know what the election's going to be. They kept saying they knew it was going to go. They kept trying to advise us on things. They should be forbidden from doing that. It's a waste of time and energy. It's stupid. I don't go along with mainstream media, and if you're not aware of this, apparently everybody has forgotten I said this many, many years ago. I even had it on the videos, on the channel's About page. I don't watch the news. I haven't watched mainstream media, specifically the news, in over 10 years. Because they're a waste of time. I don't do that. I look at the witness statements and the video taken at the location of something that happened. I don't actually watch the news because they go along for, it's seemingly hours, even teasing things. No. So I look up stuff and independently check it. Meanwhile, your methodology for critiquing my video was to make an assertion about me that almost everyone is aware is not actually possible for me to do, because I can't be a sheep to the mainstream media if I don't watch the shit. Next, I'm quoting, when I talk about the states that were lost by Trump, I'm quoting the assertion of the states group that actually counted the ballots. That's not mainstream anything, unless you're claiming counting ballots is somehow mainstream sheepelism, which apparently a lot of you are doing now. Some people are even advocating that we no longer count ballots and that nobody allowed to vote anymore, and disenfranchise everybody because they didn't like the fact that their president didn't win this time. No, we the people said fuck you. BLM, Antifa are now your concerns, but I guess after all that COVID gone, BLM gave demands to Joe Biden, and that's in the front of it all. They demand you adhere to. So this election season may go your way, but at the end of the day, Trump broke records no one has done before. Reagan and Lincoln were both hated as well. I could go over the numbers, but you're still in denial of what has been done for this country, and you will not see it either way. Not the way you take down people in your videos thinking that you're superior. I don't think I'm superior. I think I'm average. I think you're inferior to the majority of the population because you won't acknowledge that you're ignoring that he lost the vote 3 different ways. States, which would be tiebreaker, and that's it. The number of votes, period, and the number of electoral votes. Donald Trump lost the election because the people counting the votes and announcing election results said so. Not the mainstream media, not me, not anybody. And as for him breaking records, Biden got more votes, so he broke Trump's record. You're in denial of shit that's real. I'm not. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. That's all the time I'm going to give you. Bye.